Hello and welcome. I'm Cheryl A. Major, and I'm here with Amelia South, and we are going to talk today about food and mood. And I'm going to immediately throw it to Amelia so she can tell you a little bit about herself and why you should listen to her. Amelia?
All right. So, hi, I'm Amelia South, owner and operator of Black Sun Farm, a tiny little organic farm operation in northeastern Connecticut. I also teach a lot online. You can find me, Amelia from Black Sun Farm, on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. And what I love to do is teach people how to incorporate wild foraged foods into their diet as part of an overall gut healing regime because I 100% fully believe that a solid 80% or more of the problems with almost everybody on this planet starts in their gut. Gut health is the most important thing that you can focus on as far as the rest of your entire body. What you're putting into your body and how your digestion is working is so critical to like all the other systems in your body. As an herbalist, people come to me with all kinds of health problems all the time. I've got the hormone imbalance, or I've got, skin problems, or eczema, or acne. I've got brain fog going on. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I swear 95% of the time it's what's going on with your gut because that's the cause. I mean, 85% of your immune system is in your gut. 90% of the serotonin your body produces is in your gut. Your gut is so important. So that's my jam. And because your gut is where food goes, that's what we're talking about. We're putting
That's
the
what we're here
food
to
in.
talk about. Yeah.
Yep.
And I am walking, talking, living proof of this because, first of all, I'm a certified nutrition and wellness consultant, but I've mostly been through the school of hard knocks on this because I became depressed when I was 12 years old and struggled with it for I won't tell you how many years, a lot. And in 2012, I changed how I eat, not to try to help myself, to help somebody else. And lo and behold, in a few months, I was no longer dealing with the level of depression that I had lived with for so many years. And I have to give a shout out to Amelia for one of her tinctures. She and I have been talking over the past few years since we've been buddies online here. And she asked me if I'd ever tried St. John's wort. And I said, yeah, I used to take it, but it didn't do anything for me. And she said, have you ever tried a tincture? I said, tincture, what are you talking about? She said, it has to be made, she explained to me how it has to be made. So anyway, I have been getting my St. John's wort tinctures from Amelia for a while now. And I believe that it is helping me manage my tendency to be depressed. So today we are talking about food and mood, and food is definitely part of it. That's what I changed the most back in 2012. And the difference it made in my life, my life personally, was staggering. I mean, it helped me more than antidepressants, more than positive affirmations, more than anything. So, Amelia, I'm going to throw it back to you, and we're going to talk for 20 minutes or so. So, hang in there because we got some good stuff for you coming up. Amelia, take it away.
So anyway, one of the biggest things that I like to remind people is that modern agriculture practices, which is basically anything from like World War II era to now, the last 70 or 70-ish years or so, agriculture really changed a lot around the Great Depression and later. And then when World War II ended, there were a lot of pesticides and chemicals left over from World War II that the government had lots and lots of supply of. And so they basically repurposed a lot of those into pesticides for agricultural use. So that was a part of it. There was also some, the Department of Agriculture was being developed, and there's a lot of things that have been going on with our food systems. If you're not familiar with what caused the Dust Bowl in the Great Depression, like the fields and fields and fields of just dust, people like dying from dirt and dust inhalation. That was because of poor agricultural practices, nobody rotating their fields and just constantly pumping the chemical fertilizers into the ground. As a
Mhm.
result of that, this does make sense. This does make sense because as a result of all that junk that they were doing, that those terrible practices that they were doing 70 years ago, we've been trying to basically rehab our soils in fields and fields and fields, agricultural fields that are growing all these crops that are feeding all the people of the United States and technically the world. But so the ones that you need to be concerned of is are the ones that are in the United States, because a lot of the conventional agriculture practices still utilize a lot of pesticides. And in fact, I've been an organic farmer for 10 years, and there's actually a lot of pesticides that are used in organic farming as well. They're safer, but they're still, pesticides. And there are better ways to grow the food, but the majority of people don't know all of this, which is fine. That's why I'm telling you. But the majority of people might not necessarily have access to vegetables or meat grown from a regenerative agriculture operation, like a small family farm. The vast amount of food that comes to the grocery stores in this country are from these giant, and I'm talking thousands of acres of fields of, this one crop or this one crop, huge fields. Like, this boggles my mind. I even trying to see pictures of them. Um, but huge monocropping fields, which means they're only growing one crop in this one area, and that degrades the soil. That's the point I'm making. So the soil in the United States, in most agricultural areas, has been so degraded from the
Yeah.
natural minerals and vitamins and things that are in it, that the only plants that they can grow now are those agricultural crops that they put a whole bunch of inputs, the chemical fertilizers in to let those plants grow. Whereas what I like to do is encourage people whenever possible to incorporate some wild foods into your diet, because wild foods, and this is like plants that just grow in the wild, things like
Mhm.
dandelions or maybe even raspberries, yellow dock, red clover. There's a lot of wild like weeds that people have in their yard that are actually really highly nutritious. There are a lot of invasive plants that came over from other countries that are edible and delicious and nutritious. And we can make those into, like, incorporate that into your diet. It doesn't have to be all of your diet, but those foods put themselves where they're growing because that spot of land has what that plant needs.
Mm.
They're not growing there on purpose. They're like, you have to carefully think about a garden that you're having. If you have your own garden, you have to put the right kind of soil in there. You have to put the right kind of compost or fertilizer in there for whatever plants you want to grow, because those plants need that specific thing. Nature just does whatever it wants, and those plants show up wherever they want.
Yeah.
And they're so much more nutritious.
Yeah.
So,
And I know that in my yard, and the name of the plant escapes me at the moment. It almost looks like a little clover or something, but it's not sweet, it's not green tasting, it's kind of lemony. And I have brought that in and
oh, wood sorrel. Wood sorrel.
yes, sorrel, that's it,
Yep.
sorrel. I have that everywhere. And I bring that in and I add it to my salads. In fact, I haven't started doing that this year, note to self.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, that's
Do
a
that.
tasty
Yeah,
one.
it's tangy.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
high in oxalic acid. You couldn't eat like a giant bowl of just that, but as
No.
long as you're not, adding it to your salad, adding it to your
Yeah.
eggs or something like that, it's a delicious, flavorful thing to throw in there. And that's the point, because I don't expect anybody to suddenly go from we're living in our industrialized American country to I'm just only going to live off the land. Like that, very, very few people are capable of doing that, and that's okay. But if you can start to recognize and learn just some of the plants that are in your area that you can pick and work with and try to taste them and get that extra nutrition into your diet. Obviously, not in the dead of winter, but most of the year, there's
Yeah.
things that you can find. And so that's what I'm encouraging people to do. That,
Mm.
and also working on their gut health as part of that. But that's putting what you're putting into your body is a huge part of your
Yeah.
gut health, because adding those wild foods changes your microbiome. It
Yeah.
feeds your microbiome all the wild yeasts that are on those wild foods, and the extra vitamins, the minerals, the fiber is going to feed your
Oh
gut
yeah.
bacteria and make it super duper happy. So,
Yep. And the fiber is so important to your mood, to your energy, to your skin.
oh yeah.
I have come in contact with people who have major chronic constipation. I mean, they
Oh,
cannot poop, and their skin is a shade that I have not seen before, and it's not a good thing. And so, and it's so interesting too. Another something else occurred to me when you were talking, Amelia, and it's that we're learning so much more. in recent years about gut. It used to be, I mean, now it's known as your second brain. And the
Yeah.
whole thing about the vagus nerve,
The enteric nervous
telegraphing.
system. That's it. The
Yeah,
enteric nervous system. That's your gut,
yeah,
gut
yeah.
brain.
Telegraphing to your brain, hey, we're inflamed, we're screwed up down here. And then it
Yeah.
manifests as depression. It's not like
Or
you get,
skin issues. It
or,
comes out on your skin too.
yeah. And how
'Cause
does it come out on your skin? What, let's talk about that a little bit.
So people that end up with eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, acne, all of that, this is one thing I love to tell people. You don't have eyeballs inside your belly, right? You don't, your eyeballs are here. Your eyeballs can only see what is outside your body. So the only way that your bodily systems can tell your brain that something is wrong is by showing up on your skin. So your
Mm.
body, when you get a rash or something outside of touching poison ivy or something like that, if you touch something that makes you itchy, that's different. But if you suddenly end up with like you've got a lot of zits, you've got something horrible going on your skin, that is your internal systems, usually something to do with your digestive tract, telling you, hey, something's wrong.
Mm.
Something is wrong inside. And the only way that we can let you know that something's wrong inside, other than making you have gas or something, is by showing it on your skin. So
Mm.
people that have acne, it's been lots of studies have been done on acne and related to certain vitamins that vitamin deficiencies. And the reason, one of the reasons people want to be again eating wild foods is the vitamin A and the vitamin C are so critical for skin health. Eczema is a gut problem. When you get that rash on your skin, that is usually a gut related problem. There's a very small case of people where I think it can be related to mold toxicity, but again, that's an internal problem. Your body is screaming at you, something's wrong. When you see something on your skin like that, pay attention. That's your body just
Yeah.
desperately trying to get a hold of you.
Yeah,
So
and it's all about inflammation too, isn't it? And
a lot of it,
depression
yeah.
depression is one more, since we're talking about food and mood, depression is one more manifestation of inflammation in our bodies. And if we eat a lot of sugary foods, we eat a lot of highly processed foods, we don't get enough fresh vegetables.
Hmm.
We eat too much processed, crackers and stuff with seed
Yeah.
oils, then our inflammation levels go up. And when we become highly inflamed, that can mess up your mood too.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
That'll mess up your mood, that'll mess up your skin, it'll give you back pain. I
yeah,
can't tell you how many people came up to me. Yes, I was at a festival yesterday and a lot of people came up to me and said, "What do you have for pain? What do you have for pain?" And I'm like, that's millions upon millions of people are in so much pain.
yeah,
And I have to decide whether I'm turning on the herbalist, the healer hat, or if I'm just gonna, sell them a product. And most of the time, I really want to help you. Like,
yeah,
all right, do you want a quick fix or do you want to solve the problem? And
yeah,
solving the problem involves me asking you questions about your diet and your gut health, because that's always going to be related to the source of the inflammation?
yeah,
So,
absolutely. And I know for me personally, the things that I got rid of were sugar, gluten, dairy, highly processed stuff. I mean,
yeah.
we went through our pantry, went through the freezer, the fridge, anything in a box, gone. Anything that would go in a microwave, which also disappeared. Got
Oh
rid of the
yeah, I got
microwave.
rid of
Yeah.
mine too like a year
Yep.
ago. It's so weird to not have a
Yep.
microwave, but you get used to it after a while.
Well, I'm cooking more, so now I have a hood. So,
Yeah.
it sucks out all the oil that would be on my walls and stove and all that stuff. So it's different. It's about change. It's about reinventing yourself. And one thing that I really want people to get from this is to have the courage and to be willing to do the work, because we're not saying it's necessary. I mean, some of the things are easy and some of them do involve work, but boy, is it worth it. You can transform your life. It's remarkable. But those are the things that I got rid of, and in 3 or 4 months I could start to see something was different. And the reason I knew something was going on was because I was selling my family home. My parents had both passed away, and it was something I did not want to do. And my husband and I were waiting for me to be curled up in a depressive, you know fetal position in the corner, sucking my thumb, because I would be so totally paralyzed by the depression around this. And that's what I kind of expected from myself, because it was something that I didn't want to do. And the reality for me was I realized I was sad, but I was appropriately sad. And if you've ever dealt with depression, you know what I'm talking about. There's sadness and then there's depression. And sadness you can deal with. I mean, depression you can deal with, but boy, it's not. Well, sadness isn't funny either. But depression
Yeah.
is, it sucks the life out of you. It really does. Depression sucks and it sucks the life out of you.
Yeah.
So we want to try to give you a tool or two that you can take and run with today. Amelia, do you have some things you can share that people can maybe, like
I
they've taken a step and
I
toward
do.
positive mood?
Well, I mean, we've already given like a lot of like, even if nobody ever wants to see either of us again, if they got this far, like,
I'll be
listen,
sad.
you can, yeah, you can make a lot of changes in your own life. There's the thing that I want to address is that the people that are interested in this, they're interested in making these changes. They're thinking, you know what, I'd actually really like to feel good again, because I could tell you I had the same kind of problem. Like I used to be an alcoholic. I drank like crazy. And when I finally stopped doing that, it's like your body's clear, your mind is clear, your
Mm,
inflammation drops, so you're not in so much pain anymore. Your mood gets better, and there's a lot of different changes. There's a lot of mental changes that go into this. But I don't want to just be standing here saying, "Oh, all you got to do is change what you eat, change this, change that," because people get scared. People get afraid that number one, they can't do it. Number two, that it's going
mm,
to take too much willpower. Like, oh, I don't have the willpower to do that. Oh, I'm not going to do that. That's too much work. And if you're not willing to put a little bit of work into your health, then none of this is for you. You're gonna, I mean, enjoy being unhealthy and sad. But I, I'm talking to the people that if you are afraid that sticking with something like this is going to be too difficult, I'm actually doing a class, a live Zoom class. I believe it's next week. It's the 26th and 27th of May, and I'm gonna rerun it every now and then because it's really really cool. I'm gonna show people how to rewire their brain so that they don't have these cravings anymore, so they don't have to deal with the cravings anymore. And I could probably, if will it let me share?
it should. I think I set it up so that you could share. That was my
Share.
intention.
There we go.
There we go.
So
Yay!
this is it's on Eventbrite. It's also linked on, my website, my Facebook and everything. But Rewire Your Cravings. It's a 2-day event, so it's $24 for both days included. It's not $24 times two, but that's 2-day event, and it's not just one of those little live webinar things where like I'm trying to sell you stuff. It's really like I am going to change your life. I am going to absolutely give you the tools to change what you're craving so that because a lot of people, and I know a lot of people are thinking, well, I like pizza, or if I have a really rough day, I want to go home and have like some ice cream. I want to eat half a pint of Haagen-Dazs, or I really need to have a lot of chocolate. Or if I have a really, really bad day, I have to eat this one thing, otherwise I'm not going to feel good. And that is partially an addiction to food. It's an addiction to the feeling that you're getting when
Mm,
you eat that particular food. And it's not that you don't know that this is bad for you. Like you know you're eating something that's really not good for you, but that's what you're craving. And what I'm going to show you how to do is not do that anymore, not crave that anymore. Can
mm.
you imagine like how powerful is it going to feel if your body actually craved the things that it really needed?
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Instead of just craving like,
Yeah,
oh my God, I'm dying for chocolate chip cookies right now. Like,
yeah,
and it's okay every now and then if you want something, so I'm
yeah,
not saying never eat that, but
yeah.
just
Thank you for saying that because that was
yeah.
going to be my next point. It doesn't mean never,
Yes.
but
Yeah. And I
but
mean, I make chocolate chip cookies every now and then.
yeah,
Mine are paleo, so they're made with different ingredients,
yeah.
but
But
they're
it's still a sweet treat. It's still something different.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. So you don't have to eat an entire sleeve of Oreos to make your sadness go away.
yeah,
you know
exactly,
that's
exactly.
that's the point that I'm
Yeah,
making. So and if you don't make that particular event, you can always contact me, check my website. I'm going to be having more of these events, and I teach a lot of classes online and on YouTube and whatnot, so yeah.
and we'll include links to Olivia. I don't know where that came from.
Amelia.
From Amelia. I know who you are. I just can't say it. We'll include links to Amelia's class on the 26th and 27th and some other opportunities to work with her. And what you just said about it doesn't mean you can never have them is so important. I was so hardcore back in the day when I first started trying to share this out in the world. And I had a client say to me, Cheryl, if this is what I have to do, I just won't do it. It's too hard. And that was, wow, I could have had a V8 for me because it kind of defeated what I was trying to do. So
Yeah.
thank you for saying that. Don't panic. It doesn't mean that you can't go out for ice cream. It doesn't mean you can't have chips. Doesn't mean you can't have a chocolate chip cookie. It just means that you won't be wanting to sell your children to get them. It just
Well,
takes.
that and it's a big one of the big tricks I'll give you for free right
Okay.
now is that one of the big tricks that I used is to swap the crappy version that makes you feel sick and doesn't
Mhm,
feel
mhm.
good for a healthier version. And I know
Okay.
that sounds goofy because people are like,
No, I'm big on that.
there's
Yeah,
no way this cookie could taste anywhere near as no,
yeah,
they taste really good
yeah.
because I have some really awesome recipes that like people go nuts. I saw somebody on Pinterest had a recipe for like healthy keto Cadbury cream eggs. And I'm going, I am so making this. Holy cow, because I can't eat the original ones anymore. This looks awesome. So
Yeah,
that sort of thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Finding alternatives that taste almost like the same thing you're used to,
yeah,
and then your body gets used to that, and you're like, that's what I crave. You go
yeah.
back to eating the original one that came from a
Oh,
box, and it's like, this is
yeah, yeah.
gross.
I know, and I know if you're a serious Oreo fan, you may say, "What are they nuts?" We're not. We've just been doing this for a while, and we've kind of honed it down to what works for each of us. So we probably have different tweaks
Hmm.
in our repertoire, but just wanted to share all of this with you. And I am planning on being there the 26th and the 27th because I am so interested. I mean, sometimes I would drive over you, and back over a few times on a bad day for a donut. Donuts have
Oh
always been my
gosh.
thing. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to do that. I mean, I manage to avoid the things that don't love me back these days for the most part. Not always, but for the most part. But
Hmm.
it would be super to figure out how to ditch the cravings guys out there. So we're going to post this and we'll post links and we hope to see you there.
Yes.
So
Is there
yeah,
anything you're doing that you want to invite people to or
I'm writing another book and
nice.
my third book and the working title is Wiggle Room Health: How to Improve Your Health Without Going Nuts. That may change a little bit, but it really speaks to what we've been talking about having some wiggle room because I was very parochial about all of this and it doesn't work for many people and it's kind of not fun anyway.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to be more fun and have more wiggle room in my own life and share it with my clients. So I guess we'll call that a wrap, Amelia.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna put links in
In the
below
description.
the
Yeah.
video and ways that you can get in touch with Amelia and with me if you have any questions. So Amelia, thank you so much.
Thank you for doing this, Cheryl. I appreciate it. Yes,
Oh,
we
it's
always have
great.
a good time when we're
Yeah,
chatting.
yeah, we do. We do. We talk about a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So always good to see you. And out there, thank you for joining us, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.